Hello, Don. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm just pretty good.
Hey, didn't we get some pretty good news today?
Oh, I think so. Exceptional Sunday.
Hey,
Yeah.
remind me, I have a short memory.
Yeah, well, we don't see too many Sundays like that, you know. And I kind of liken this whole thing as a spiral, and it kind of slowly moves downward, and as you go down, it gets a little shorter, or smaller, and smaller, and smaller, and hey, we're just, that far away from hitting the target. It just makes you feel good. Yeah. Um, let's see. Well, Zap, you know, basically said in an offhand way that the releases have been signed, but he can't say it. And, they're waiting for the typhoon to pass Hong Kong that's already gone through the Philippines. It was a pretty big one. Caused a lot of death and damage in the Philippines. And then also, Susan said that the prosperity programs, which will come after the RV, are not as great as previously reported. They were exaggerated. So it maybe takes it down into a level of greater credibility when you hear the numbers. You know, I've heard different numbers. It doesn't even, trying to remember it isn't important. Other than it was a lot of money. Anyway, that was not like she knows maybe how much, but she's not going to say. That would start, huge buzz all over the place. So you don't go around saying things like that, which is my thinking. Why it was said that way. I'm just reading Sierra NZ talking about Q. Send this over. I'm just reading the first one out of two about September 20th. Like, this is when the president is likely to use as a means to drop a bomb. Maybe the declassifying of FISA documents there, so it can't be hidden.
Would that be the Moab?
Yeah, but I hear elsewhere that it's not all going to come out all at once, but it's going to lead up to the mother of all bombs. Yeah. Someone else saying that I didn't open it up, but the title is something to the fact that Hillary is going to go down on October 21st. There's all kinds of stuff out there.
Yeah, there is.
You know.
Operation Disclosure was putting a lot of emphasis on Zimbabwe.
Yeah, like they're the one. What have they already done what they need to do? Is that what Zap is really talking about? The release, or are they going to do something more public so it'll look official and not just something that happens out of nowhere? Something that people can point to. You always want to leave a trail, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Just another way of thinking about it. Don't know.
What do you think about this recent attempt to remove
Duterte?
Duterte, Philippine?
Well, what I was reflecting on, I think, was something that Joseph said, that Duterte was someone that they wanted to win over there because he was really belonged to the alliance or the BRICS or that side, the good guys.
Yeah.
Because his bloodline is connected to the money, if you will. The bloodlines are connected to the money, and so what was he doing, killing people in the drug business as a mayor in his city before he became president. So he was at war with these people, and then he got in the position of being the president and going after him. But I didn't know what was going on. I learned just about everything I know about, the Philippines in the last several years from reading that article.
Yeah.
And it just wouldn't surprise me because we heard that there was ISIS in the Philippines. So, drugs, ISIS, there are a lot of Muslims in different parts of the Philippines. It's a country filled with all different kinds of groups.
A melting pot. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and they I think that I get the sense, let's put it this way, that they live in different groups in different areas, higher concentrations of different groups. They're kind of like tribal, it's a kind of a tribalistic population. But, when you get into places like Manila and the large cities, everyone pours in there where there's opportunity, I would probably think. But again, I don't know very much about, the Philippines. I just been creeping up on a little bit here and there.
Did you see all the Q posts?
No, I didn't.
I sent out 3, I think.
Yeah, I saw one that you put up, and I just didn't have time for it. So I have to catch up. I was looking yesterday for what he had to say, and my problem is that I don't look carefully and give a lot of time to some of these things, and I miss things, just like with Tony's reading the notes from Friday's meeting.
Yeah.
It's 15th to the 22nd. Oh, that's all he had to say. But after pouring over there more carefully, I found a lot more.
Yeah.
So this is a problem.
Q, he says...
I just look on Denard Chronicles. There are all kinds of people posting. I don't even open up, 3/4 or more of them. I pick and choose topics and some people that I find interesting. And I'm following along a little bit about the QFS system and some of the talk, and it's a little bewildering or confusing because they don't have enough time to really get into the nuts and bolts, the ones that can, and most people aren't interested. They're going to yawn after the first paragraph or two, and I might be among those too. It takes a lot of time. So you end up with a lot of, almost like UFO stories. That's the way it sounds. Unless you have a background, and you can get a beat on some of that. But Ron Giles, also known as Yosef, from my recollection, something about the QFS system, and he said, the SWIFT system and the QFS were running parallel, and when a wire was going over the SWIFT system, the QFS could watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why these guys were getting the knock at the door and getting arrested. But it seems like the word didn't get out. I guess they aren't following Denard Chronicles, in the discussion about QFS, because they've been catching a lot. Well, anyway, that was his 2 cents on the whole thing, in terms of security.
Yeah, the one the buckle up when the fight is real, the time is now. Everywhere these Q's talking is, this is the week.
Yeah, that's a talk, and I believe that it's probably on target. Yeah, it's part of that spiral. The spiral that we're looking at is Q, what's happening even in mainstream media politically, and with the reset intel, it all seems to kind of gel together. And as we go through time, it becomes more clear. I just happened to read the blurb for the latest X-22, and He's saying the housing market's ready to pop the bubble, and somewhere where the bankers are pushing people to go into taking out equity home loans on their homes. I remember when they did that before the last bubble.
Yeah.
You used to get robocalls for stuff like that. And I think it was maybe a misprint or mistype, but you said Mnuchin is selling his home, which means we're at the top of the market. And, you know, and it fits along with what Jim Willie was saying, that, you know, the dollar is going to lose half its value, 35% at the outset, then another 35% some months later. So it'll be a total of 50%. Two light shocks, lighter shocks, making, spreading it out. But so your home will be worth less. It'd be worth half of what it is now. So this is a great time to sell. Yeah. I mean, that's just me trying to make sense of what the things I've heard and that I believe, or come to understand.
It's going to be interesting about this emergency broadcast thing. That's going to be really interesting how that's going to come down.
Yeah, well, it said it's a test, but, we're every day is a test here. In the last couple of years, starting with Trump starting off this campaign. Be ready, because we're at war, whether people realize it or not. And a lot of it's about information.
Oh, boy.
You don't have to fire as many shots when all you have to do is capture the minds and hearts of people. When truth starts to resonate with them. And I think I was reading or heard mention about polls where the people aren't buying into the mainstream media. They're kind of seeing through it. They get enough from the internet, and they look at the news, and they're saying, there's quite a chasm between the two. Big gap.
Well, if people are half like I am, I just turn the news off, mainstream media.
Well, I know that, but yeah, I mean, I'm not watching MSNBC or even CNN anymore. I've tuned in almost completely to One American News Network, just because there's so much information coming around, and it's just kind of there. It's clear, and now it is skewed to the right. They're definitely Republican oriented, but they're reporting at least that side accurately, I think.
Yeah.
So Devin Nunes even said, "Yeah, you guys are doing an honest job." I thought that was one of the nicest things that someone said. Trump has said it. People are honest and truthful. Now, I don't watch Fox, so I can't say that they aren't. I know that their agenda's on the right, generally speaking. And look, none of them were talking about a reset or returning to the gold standard. I listened to Ben Fulford's interview. Trump is taking down the bad guys, but we don't know what the vision is for the future. Well, he knows what it is. He's just not talking about it. Robert David Steele, same way. The only kind of touch on gold standard or reset, and that they just stop there. They don't. Their sources aren't giving them more, or don't want them to talk about more. Let's put it that way. So of course they can figure out. They just in the area that he covers, he's figured out a few things and kind of shared his own ideas about them. And say, the guy resonates with me. Sometimes he doesn't. Maybe I'm off. Maybe he's off. But it's just that we have our set of information in addition to all the other that we see out there, and some people are holding back. want to spill the beans, I would say.
Yep.
And what Fulford said was Trump doesn't seem to have a vision. Well, the vision is Jassara. He's just not bringing it up, as far as I'm concerned. And of course, the topic I wanted to touch on was, midterm elections. Okay, if you throw some other ball bombs, it could be, a tsunami for the Republican Party. They need to get the House, or as Donald says, they're going to impeach me. And what does that mean? It means at least stymieing any kind of progress that he would like to have if he doesn't have a House, on the Republican side, and the House is where impeachment starts. The call for it, and it's handled by the Senate once proceedings begin. But the other thing is, with this Mueller probe and whatnot, I wonder if maybe Joseph might be onto something that Trump is leaving. He claims around January 20th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's put that out as a possibility. My next question that's kind of bothering me is, Paul Ryan leaving. Why is Paul Ryan leaving? He kind of looked like he was he was appointed to become the next president if Trump left.
The problem is he's on the pedophile.
Assuming that Pence was going to step aside for whatever reason, okay?
Whether it's true or not.
As if he was put in there deliberately. Boehner was removed when he was removed, and so on.
Yeah.
But then he's leaving.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
I understand there's indictment against him.
Okay. Anything specific that you hear?
Pedophilia.
Huh?
Hard for me to believe, but who knows?
That's the conjecture. Okay.
That's
yeah. I mean, that's what you have to believe. I mean, you think so, or does Trump leave and then he starts running for president? I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there, and I don't know if there's any, if there's a square millimeter that sticks on the wall. The other thing is, we have a number of other people that are vying for the Speaker of the House. Jim Jordan is being mentioned on White American News, and
he'd be
getting
good.
very vocal.
Yeah.
We have McCarthy, who stepped to the side so that Paul Ryan could move into that place. And who's the other one? The fellow who was shot.
Yes.
He starts with an S.
Yeah, at the baseball field. Yeah.
Yeah.
Scalia?
He seems like
Scalia? No, it's not. It's something along that line.
Salas or
not Scalia. Not Scalia. That's the judge.
I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, and I've used it. But anyway, he seems to be a very positive, happy, forward-charging guy, and probably got re-energized from this. But he was supposedly on tap to replace Ryan at the time. That was the thinking back then.
I heard
anyway,
that.
So there's that. Just looking at some contingencies, and just bringing up that Jordan is mentioned as well in the conversation.
I think we need Trump for at least another 2 years to completely clean the swamp. He can't leave with the job half done.
That's a good point.
He's not that kind of person.
No. But okay, here's the thing that I wanted to bring up along with this, is that he's kind of the corporate president, right? Mm-hmm. Now we got to move to a republic. You'd have to have a new election. He'd have to run for election, and maybe he wants it. Mm-hmm. Maybe we're talking about all new elections. Okay, like we've heard. He isn't just rolling over and becoming the same president. We'd have to have an interim, no?
Well, if that were the case, he'll be a shoo-in if he gets done what he's supposed to between now and then.
I agree with that. And then the question is, does he want to do that? And you know, there's just too much that I just don't know about what the Republic would be about.
Well, we'll leave it at that and concentrate on this happening this week, and then we won't really care what happens after we exchange, will we? Or at least I won't.
No, but I'm trying to understand what's going on now. If you can kind of look toward the future.
Yeah.
You know, the future's already been kind of mostly set, especially if the White Hats are in charge.
What you're trying to do is get an understanding.
Yes, I'm not trying to put anything down. I'm just trying to just take a look at at the future a little bit about what could be and what the trajectory is right now. Right now we got the midterms. Okay, well, if you throw some mother ball bombs, it looks like the Republicans are in, and I think that's been the plan.
Yeah.
In the meantime, the Democrats seem to be leading in the polls in the House, where you have the smaller districts.
Yeah.
That's the sense that I get from the pollsters, and that's just kind of traditional. The Democrats crossed over, or the people who are on the fence crossed over and voted for Trump, and they relax, or whoever it is, during the first midterm, and I think Obama lost seats, after his initial victory.
Yeah.
And maybe Bush W did the same, that kind of thing. Anyway, so just throwing those things up there just to bring them to mind, and just let it sit there and on the back burner, cold or simmer, but it's there, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to sign off. It's been a long day, and I think we're going to start looking at some pretty good stuff in the next 72 hours.
Yeah, I'd say between now and Wednesday we should have something here.
Yeah.
And then we got, see what happens with the emergency test on Thursday.
On Thursday, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, my friend. We'll sign off.
Hey, you have a good night.
Talk to you tomorrow night.
Okay, Dan.
Okay, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.